Hey friend, welcome to Ask Dr. Betters. I'm Danielle and I'm here with my granddad, Dr. Chuck F. Betters. Granddad, the question we have for you today is what practical steps can I take to honor my loved one's memory?
Wow, that's such a great question. But before I answer that question, I think it's important to note this. Everyone grieves differently. And so what blesses me in my grief may not bless someone else in their grief. So these practical steps for me will become, to answer this question, more generic than they are personal. But they'll be somewhat personal because these are some of the things that work for us. MARKINC Ministries, that produces Ask Dr. Betters, was started in memory of our son Mark. His name was Mark, which means to us, making abundant riches known in the name of Christ. And so we named this ministry after him. But the ministry cannot be a shrine to him. It's more of a shrine to what his name means to us, making abundant riches known in the name of Christ. So maybe you have an opportunity to start a foundation, or to start a ministry, or to write, or to do podcasts, or to do something that will help someone else in their grief to find some peace. When we first lost Mark, we wanted to speak to people that were ahead of us in the game. People who had lost a loved one years down the road from us, so that they could look back and help us by helping us to grieve, even if they had to relive their grief all over again. We did that. And MARKINC Ministries was started to do just that for a variety, hundreds of different reasons. For people to be able to look back in their grief and in their sorrow to help somebody who's coming behind them. I believe every Christian needs two people in their lives, at least. One who is ahead of them spiritually, and one who is lagging behind them spiritually, so that they're being pulled in two directions, dragging somebody forward, leaning on somebody who's ahead of them. I think it's critical that you surround yourself with people who want to speak of the deceased loved one, who aren't afraid to tell a story, to broach a subject, to tell something that maybe is going to cause some sadness, but eventually some joy, as you get to relive your loved ones through the eyes of somebody else. Oh, sure, you may cry to see their sorrow and their missing of your loved one, but long term it helps to have people around you who are willing to speak of your loved one, to tell a joke, to tell a sad story, to tell a real story that reveals the character that they saw in your loved one. Perhaps one of the things that you could do in coping with the grief is to every once in a while share with somebody very close to you your grief. Tell somebody, I'm missing so-and-so. Oftentimes my wife will say to me, or I will say to her, I'm really especially missing Mark today. And to hear them say, me too. Or to just to feel their hand, or to look into their eyes and feel their pain just for a moment, helps you tolerate in your pain. Don't be afraid of holidays. Holidays when the rest of your surviving family comes together. Every July 6th, which is the day that Mark was taken from us, we try to meet with our family members because we know they're grieving too. They're missing him on that infamous day. On his birthday, we do the same. Christmas and other holidays, there's always a place setting missing at the table. And we do our best to recognize and to acknowledge it. It's not easy, but it's realistic. You want to make sure you're not surrounding yourself with toxic people who drag you down, saying things like, you still miss him? You're still grieving? Well, friend, it doesn't end. The grief and the heartache is forever. But instead, surround yourself with people who offer hope. That one day, this wound will be healed in a way that only heaven can. But keep in mind, your grief is unique. It's different than mine. And so what works for you and works for me may be completely different. But these are just some general thoughts, some general ideas that I think if you look beyond the immediate tears and look for a way to smile and find that funny story or find that's something that brings a smile to your face about your loved one, you'll find joy and you'll find peace. And then one final thought. Don't be afraid to share, but intimately share with those who will understand. Listen closely. Unusual things that happen that don't have an explanation. That maybe somebody will look at you and say, well, I think you're nuts, or I think you're going crazy. And that's why you don't share it with everyone, but you share it with people who will understand. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. I felt his presence then too. Those are gifts from God. Those are things that God sends our way to alleviate the enormity of the burning in our hearts of pain and sorrow as we miss our loved ones. Friends, visit us at markinc.org, or better yet, send a question by way of the comments section, and we'll try to do our very best to give you the help that you need. I hope this helps you.